Okay, I've got my first batch of thin set mixed up and ready to start applying that. We'll go ahead and speed things up a little bit. You see one trowelful, you see the whole thing, I guess. Anyway, let's go ahead with that. Okay, I've got my first batch of thin set mixed up. I'm ready to apply that. The surface is damp. I'll speed things up a little bit. Something that I hadn't mentioned yet is the tile that I'm using is a brick appearing tile. It's made by Allen & Roth. I got it from Lowe's. It's kind of a medium priced porcelain tile. The one thing that I don't like about it is it's pretty inconsistent in width between pieces. And I guess if you're laying brick, that's probably normal. You'd use a string line, but you can end up being kind of wavy in your line. So I'm actually, when I'm getting close to eye level here, I'm being pretty anal. I put in an extra line every couple courses. So if I have to do a little additional shimming to keep these lines straight, I'll do that. Here we go, setting tile. I'm using 3/16 spacers, and in order to keep these lines straight, I do use some cardboard shims too if I need to make up like a 32nd of an inch. And if you hear an occasional moan, I'm working here today with my #1 dog. Okay, I now have all the tiles set in place. The sink is just set there temporarily. You can see all the way up to the ceiling. I went with the wall tile that will be in the shower. And the one thing that I have to say is that I have never used this Allen & Roth tile before, and I would probably never use it again unless there was a pattern that I'm so set on that isn't available from anyone else. It is the worst quality control tile I think I've ever used. The thickness of the tile varies some. The width of the tile varies a lot, as much as a 1/16 of an inch, and it sure makes it hard to keep lines straight. In fact, if you depend solely on spacers, you would probably have a real mess of a looking job. In the laundry area, I went ahead on the vertical surface. I used that same Allen & Roth tile. And then in the laundry area itself, or the floor, I used the same tile that I use on the floor in here, which I got from Home Depot. It's a porcelain tile, and it was actually pretty easy to use and pretty attractive too. And the two of them look together really nice, so I think that I'm going to like this when it's all finished. I can't wait to have it grouted, which is the next step. I'm all prepped for that. I've taped off my edges so I don't make a mess on anything else. I'll get this grouted today. Tomorrow I have something else planned, but hopefully before I leave from this trip, I get the shower doors set too. All right, I've started grouting the tile. I finished up yesterday and getting it all set. So I'm in the process, like I say, of grouting. What I do is I mix up a fairly stiff consistency for wall joints, especially when they're kind of wide joints, and these vary from 3/16 to about 1/4. On the floor you can get away with a little slurrier sort of mix. But on the walls you want to be able to pack it in. You want it wet enough that you can pack it into the joints, but not so wet that it'll run out easily. So that's what I've been doing. I'm getting started here. I've actually been doing this for a couple hours already. And this is a job that it is nice to have two people, one person installing the grout and another person coming in behind and cleaning. I'm doing it all myself, and you can see I started at the top, and I've got this getting fairly clean. It's not finished yet, but the cleaning process you need to continue doing until the actual mortar in the joints is dry, because every time you go over it with a sponge, you're going to pull a little bit out of the joints and leave a film on the tile. So obviously down here, this is a lot wetter. This has only been cleaned once. That up on top, I think, has been cleaned 3 times already. But I'll continue with grouting. Here I go. Now you can tell when your joints are full, you got to press it into your joints. And if you go perpendicular to the joint, it's easy to fill up the joint. When you have a lot of smaller tile, obviously you don't want to be going like that and that, or it'll take you forever. So on smaller tile like this, typically I can do the whole thing at a 45-degree angle. But what you want to do is keep packing it, press it into the joint until you know that your joint is full. And you'll know it's full by seeing it bulge out beside the work that you're doing. And then once you get a joint full, rake it at a 45-degree angle, tilt your float out a little bit, and that'll clean a good part of the excess off of the tile. And that'll save you a lot of work later on when you get to working with the sponge cleaning things up. Now for a hint as to when to start cleaning or going over it the first time is when you see a dry film start to appear on an area that you've worked in, it's time to go over it for the first time. What you want to do is to be able to get a good percentage of that mortar off, because once it builds up there, it gets really tough to get off. Sometimes I add vinegar to the water, and usually at the end of the day I'll do that to get everything real clean, but I'll be cleaning for several hours even after I finish applying all the mortar. At this point, this was done, probably 20 minutes or a half an hour ago. I'll usually start cleaning typically within about 15 minutes or so after I apply. I'll do the first cleaning. And then maybe typically after that, I'll clean every 15 minutes or so. Now the one thing you can do at this point is your mortar's still going to be pretty wet. So if you have any inconsistent spots or holes in the mortar, what you can do is just run your sponge parallel to it and kind of level out those spots. Now on my next cleaning, I'm going to have to get some clear water. You can only get this tile as clean as what your water is that you're using for cleaning it. So typically after every couple rinses, I'll go ahead and get clean water, and then I'll start at the top and work my way down, because there will be about 15 minutes spacing on every section that I'm doing, or 20 minutes spacing on every section that I'm doing. And you'll start to really notice those upper tile get a lot cleaner looking. I will be cleaning for several hours yet, but the grout now is all in and all the tile. It's actually fairly set up in that top 2 or 3 feet, so that's ready to go over with some water mixed with a little vinegar just to really clean up that surface good. Down low, it's still pretty doggone wet. You can't see it, I guess, but I got the tile grouted on the floor in the laundry area too, so that's finished. Maybe we'll take a look at it after everything's all cleaned up and looking nice.